Today I'm going to look at one of the hottest topics that's being much discussed all over the place right now, and that's RAW. But what does RAW mean? What benefit might it bring you? Well, the first thing to understand is the things that it won't bring you. And it won't give you more dynamic range over a log recording, or more colour for that matter. Those things are generally governed by the sensor that's in the camera itself. RAW cannot turn a bad sensor into a great one. And the other thing that RAW won't allow you to do is to expose incorrectly, or to be wildly off with your white balance. A lot of RAW video cameras will actually change and adjust the white balance in camera to make sure that the RAW recording is fully optimized. So you still need to do these things properly. You need to white balance correctly and you need to expose correctly. Now, what RAW does that makes it different from conventional recordings is it gives you the way to record the output of your camera sensor very efficiently. Now, normally when a video camera records a log recording, it takes the output from that Bayer single chip sensor and converts it into component video. And that means you have a luminance channel Y plus CB and CR. So you actually have 3 sets of data that need to be recorded. And that means that the file is actually already quite large. Now, when you record RAW, you're just taking one single set of brightness values from the sensor, and that's all you record. So typically what you need to record is about 1/3 of the size of a component recording. That reduction in size means that you can use less compression or a higher bit depth and things like that that make the file easier to record at a higher quality level. And generally it's that higher quality level of the recording that brings the benefits that you see in post-production. Now, sometimes because of the way log is encoded, it can be tricky to do things like a white balance change or an exposure change in post. Whereas because of the way RAW is encoded, often linear, it's a little bit easier. But with the right workflow, you can do the same corrections to log as well. So RAW, yes, it can be brilliant because it can bring you more data into your post-production workflow. 16-bit RAW in particular is delightful to work with, and I really enjoy working with 16-bit RAW. But like any codec, you need to understand what it is you're recording. We all know that an 8-bit log recording isn't as good as a 10-bit log recording. Well, the same applies with RAW. 10-bit RAW is generally not going to be as good as 12-bit RAW, which will rarely be as good as 16-bit RAW. And then it also depends on how highly compressed it is. Very highly compressed 12-bit RAW might not be as good as lightly compressed 10-bit RAW. So there's lots of factors to consider when you're looking at RAW as a recording option. So in summary, RAW can be really good and it can be really useful to have in post-production. But it isn't going to transform your shots by some sort of magic trick into suddenly amazing looking footage. That's down to how you grade and how you handle your material, whether it's log or RAW, in post.